And thank you for joining our webinar on artificial intelligence and digital forensics. We appreciate your taking the time to wait for the beginning and to be here in general. My name is Elena. I'm from Belkasoft Knowledge Team, and I would like to welcome our special guest, Brad Shavers. Brad is a digital forensics consultant and the creator of an incredibly helpful resource for professionals in this industry, DFIR training. Maybe you have already heard of it or even subscribed to it. So, Brad, would you mind telling us a bit about yourself and your journey in digital forensics?
Sure. Well, the first thing is we logged in 30 minutes early and everything worked. So,
Yeah, sorry.
everything is. Oh, I guess my journey is probably different than it is today. Today you can go to college and get trained and degrees and things. So when I started, I was in police work. So my first criminal case was in 2004. And before I did forensics, I did a lot of other things in police work, like SWAT and undercover and driving a police car and those sort of things. And my last work was actually digital forensics. So I did the typical types of cases and police work, the terrible kind, that sort of thing. And then I went to the private sector and the corporate sector and civil litigation type of cases, and been doing that ever since. So 2004, probably first case, and some training a little bit before that and through today. So that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah,
Nothing special.
that's a very long story. Just as I haven't mentioned before, I have tossed a few slides for our presentation. Not sure that we are going to follow them strictly. Anyway, here is the agenda. And my first question to you, Brad, is when did you first start thinking of the concept of AI in digital forensics, like in general?
Well, AI's been in the movies forever. We always see the AI robots and things, and I never thought it would be I guess maybe my lifetime that it's actually going to be in digital forensics. But when it started looking at it with we have LLMs, and it's actually, if you look at the software tools for filtering and searching and processing and indexing, I think from there it's like a step improvement that's easy to see. So I guess ever since the blockchain fad kind of died down and AI kind of picked up after that, that's probably where I started to really focus on. I think we do have a future in AI, and those who don't either follow it or embrace it, I think those are the ones who are at risk of missing out, maybe losing their job to AI if we don't actually control it and use it in our cases.
Yeah, sounds a bit pessimistic.
Yeah.
Like, will AI take your job? No. By the end of this webinar, we can get some ideas about that, right?
Right.
So, but when you investigated digital forensics cases, did you ever think of how AI can help with them?
I think like I started in 2004, and that was probably the end of the tail end of the command line programs, and we're using Marsware and NTI and those things. Manually pulling out files and spending a lot of time, doing that. So, when the next generation of tools came out, FTK, Incase, with the GUI tools, and they're doing a lot of the processing, I think looking at it today, it's another step beyond that. So I think we have to keep up with that. Otherwise we're going to be stuck in the command line forensics. Those who still do command line don't do forensics anymore. So if we don't start using the tools of today, we won't be using any tools tomorrow. So.
Yeah, that's right. And really, AI has lots and lots of advantages, as we can see in my slide. But sometimes digital forensics tools, what they do, they can also seem a bit like artificial intelligence, like looking through all those files, all this structured data, and all of these complicated tables and structured files like XML and JSON and even CEGB with iOS, right? And still they can make sense of it and parse it into human readable form. And still, like the main difference between AI and this traditional software that we have now mostly is that AI is based on training, not on rigid programming. So here you can see a picture, a cat and a dog, yeah, but they are not supposed to illustrate the programming and AI, of course. They are here to illustrate my example of how we can compare what software does and what AI does. Like, as I mentioned before, programming relies on rigidly predefined algorithms. And for example, if someone wants to create a program that is meant for distinguishing between cats and dogs, and the traditional approach, like programming, might involve manually creating rules based on characteristics like size, color, shape, and this process is very long, cumbersome, and difficult to scale. And in the end, it's very inaccurate because identifying all those characteristics for a human, for a programmer, is a difficult task. But like AI, it learns from data, and it is trained, if it is trained on a large number of pictures that are labeled as cats and dogs, it will figure out the patterns on its own, right?
Yeah, that's
And
the good part and the scary part. So,
yeah, that
yeah.
kind of makes it a double-edged sword. Like, while it's more flexible and adaptable in things, the results that it produces, they highly depend on the training data set. And since we're talking about picture recognition, like, have you tried picture recognition in digital forensics? I think it was like the first AI technology based on neural networks that was implemented.
Yeah, and I like it. It's. I mean, we don't. In many cases, you don't have to find every single piece of evidence to have enough for a case. So, running a facial scan or for weapons or for people just to find what you need saves a lot of time instead of going through every single picture. So, yeah, I use it. I think it's probably one of the easiest ways to get the initial clues that you can verify and corroborate to find more. So yeah, it's that's the wave of the future, is recognition of images with AI.
And how reliable do you think it is?
Um, I don't really look at it for reliability. I look at it as it produces some clues. Here's some things we found as AI, and then I will check it, make sure. So as far as a scale of reliability, I've never say it's going to be 100% or 0%, because there's always going to be some false positives. There's always going to be something that's going to be missed. My assumption is things are going to be missed no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And there are false positives that you can see. You don't see the ones that are missed. So I look at it as these are some clues to verify, corroborate, and a check with your human brain, not just the AI brain.
Yeah, of course, and actually to speed up the work, because you can see, like in this example, there are 9,000 pictures plus in this data source, and after all, it helps to identify the things to look at first. And in my experience is not that big, and I've only dealt with Belkasoft tool that does have some functionality in picture recognition and categorization. And I was quite surprised by how many false positives I saw. Like, guys, this is a face, but it is a clock face. Why do you show this? to be here. But then I was explained that in digital forensics, those filters, they are very sensitive because uh, having a false positive is much better than some files fall through the cracks and you never see them because there are too many after all. Well, but I think today we're here to talk about large language models more than that AI functionality. And this is one of the most buzzing technologies since ChatGPT was released to general public and everyone started using it, started finding new implementations for it in their work and for fun and in a lot of ways. And I heard that you have a very fascinating project related to this functionality in digital forensics.
Um, just like a general idea of using AI outside of the tool itself. Facial recognition and searching for chats is one thing, but I'm looking at it more as a partner in your office or your next desk, where you can ask your partner questions on your case. And I'm doing a lot of tests with sanitized data and some test data, and having Chat GPT look at it and ask it questions. Based on what you see, what do you think the user was doing, or what do you think the user is going to do next, or how do you think a defense attorney is going to look at this case, and what am I missing in this investigation? And have an AI just give suggestions, based on what it knows, obviously, and just trying to compare that with reality. What AI says, some things AI is telling me to do is like, yeah, that's physically impossible to do, but it gives you ideas of how another perspective looks at the case, or something you may have missed. So I'm looking at it that way with some sanitized and anonymous test data, because everything's online, obviously, with Chat GPT, and you never want to upload a real case online. So
That's very true. So I think our viewers will be interested. How do you prepare data to feed it to ChatGPT? Because usually digital forensics tools, they just give us those tables filled with timestamps, messages, metadata, and stuff like that. So how do you do it?
now just test data. As
Mhm.
far as a real case, I would not do a real case. Replace all in a Word document, maybe, to change the names, change
Mhm.
some unique parts of the case that to be identifiable, to make it a complete different case. You can still get some ideas of what AI says you may have missed another way to look at it with that fake case. So that's probably the best we can do now until we have AI on our desktop. So
Yeah, that's. I was just interested how you translate this data. So can it, I don't know, read a database entry?
no, that's I guess a limitation on what you can put up. Mostly text is what I'm putting up, or some test log files, and trying to find patterns. Um,
Oh, I
you
see.
know, or things like take this log and
Hmm.
write a concise one paragraph statement of anomalies in it or something, and seeing how it can find patterns and write up something, and then verifying, yep, that's exactly what happened, or you're a little off. So mostly just testing with that. I don't think we're at the database part of uploading that
Hmm.
into a Chat GPT.
Well, actually, I've experimented with it since ChatGPT is now multimodal. You can upload pictures in it, but once I also tried to upload a test database of WhatsApp in it, and asked it to show me specific columns, and it did. So it was not perfect, but it
Yeah.
was. It's probably later when it learns better, it will be just used instead of SQL queries. So, what did you notice when working on this project about large language models? What what are they good at? So, if we follow our next slide.
I think it's I've used a translation also. I know it's on there, but
Mm,
translation is pretty good, and I've verified it with other native speakers of it's just accurate, and so far it's really good in the translation. Answering questions, that's what I keep my what I think is going to happen with AI is that one day we're going to point it at a storage device, a computer, a laptop, or smartphone, and have AI just ingest it all, and then we can ask it questions. What did this user do on this day, and then provide the artifacts. And I think we're going to get there one day in another lifetime, or who knows. So I think that's where I like to focus on, is asking AI questions of, what did I miss? Am I looking at this the right way? Did this person really intend to do this, or what's the person's next behavior? So it's seeing AI take the context of what I give it, and see how it interprets it, which is going to be different than me, and different from you. So that's why I think AI can give another perspective of, this is how I'm working the case. This is what I've written up so far. Am I on the right track? And AI, sometimes says, yeah, but you should think about this too. It's like, that's a good idea. So, or a bad idea, but either way, it's another perspective to look at.
Yeah, that's what I agree with. And like this list, I think it kind of mimics all the things that you've mentioned. Um, the thing is, like, large language models were initially made to recreate a model of human language, like to understand all the structures and patterns of use of the human language, and to be able to perform some natural language processing tasks like text generation, translations that you mentioned, and sentiment analysis, classification, you name it. And like answering the questions based on the given context is something that I think most users value in them the most. But how accurate are those replies?
Well, one thing on the context, when we use like a DT search or grep, and you're searching for one word within 20 characters of another word, or sort of, and I think we're trying to tell these search tools what we're looking for with context, right? So we're looking for guns and money, for example. So any conversation that has guns and money within 20 words or 20 characters, because we're guessing the context of what it's going to find. But with AI, it does it automatically. It's looking at the context beyond that. So not within a certain character range or a certain word range, but actually the whole conversation. And I think that's a better step than using keyword searching we're trying to make context searches ourselves. I said, well, what words would this person be using in this context? And different slang words and this sort of thing. And AI can do that without us really having to think how to do it, I guess.
Yeah, and like probably that this is what our company is trying to implement with the new addition to our product, which is called BelkaGPT. I will just keep a few slides. Maybe we return to them later, since we switched to talking about keyword search against vs artificial intelligence. I have planned a small demonstration of what it can do. I'm sorry. Okay, so Google does not want. I need to share my screen. Yes, instead of the presentation. So this is Belkasoft, who hasn't seen it, and this is our regular UI after. Okay, sorry. There is a small glitch, I guess. Okay, what day is it today? Why does everything stop working? So it's not the application that froze. I think it's just, oh yeah, I think it starts to unfreeze. But yeah, something with the internet connection, I guess. Okay, what can I do? Let me. Oh, wow! I've made quite a lot of changes while it was not following what I was doing with it. So sorry for this. So this is the regular artifact view. When you extract a data source, all the artifacts are parsed from the files in the file system, and then they are presented in this nice view. Everything like text, emails, chats, and all that can be retrieved from the data source. But we also have keyword search for sure. This is a go tool for many, but BelkaGPT is a different thing. It's like a large language model that after the tool analyzes the data source, it runs processing to understand the text data that is available in the case. And after that, we can go to this BelkaGPT window. Sorry, I'll shrink it a bit. Oh, so no. I was shrinking my demonstration. Okay, good. Now it's good. So I'm going to demonstrate how it works by just asking it a question. So this is, of course, a test image that I created myself, and I kind of know what things have been discussed and mentioned there. And I'm going to ask it about evidence of visits to places or locations first, like something that investigators usually look for when finding evidence about people's whereabouts and their actions, their activity. And we need to wait a bit before it shows us the reply. And here it is. Okay, it says that there are no direct visits of places and locations. However, there is some messages that imply that the person went somewhere and enjoyed their experience. So I went here yesterday, it was great. So below its reply, you can see references to the artifacts that it used to generate this reply. And we can quickly jump to it. And let's see. Yeah, here is the previous message that mentions some restaurant. And it kind of was successful in finding it. And maybe one more question.
It's,
Yep.
let me see. Well, has it just a question of like, were they talking about anything illegal? I guess. Can it do something like
Uh,
that?
yeah. So
Oh, never
in
mind. It's
this,
already up there. It's already up there. So,
yeah. So I've asked it before, and it did reply that there is no mention of illegal business. But I kind of know that there is something. Maybe it just didn't identify it as illegal. I have another good example that I've shown in some previous webinars that is similar to illegal business. It came to me because previously I was working on some CTF image that involved a group of money counterfeiters, and I just thought I started asking it different questions on different topics and see how it reacts, like to not only test if it can identify the topic, but also to test how it behaves if it doesn't, so, which is very important part of large language models too, right? So here, yes, it replies that there are mentions of forgery, and there is some text that discusses the process of imitating and practicing forgery. I'm just reading it out loud because
Mm.
some people may not see it clearly in the screen. I'm not sure how well you can see it. So, and after that, we can find an artifact. It's actually in Italian, but I think anyone speaking English or any Roman language can understand the word falsificatore.
Mhm.
And in fact, it's just a message that has some discusses some ways of fake things and how it works. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And there are other two artifacts. Here in the end it says, additionally, the text talks about discussing the topic of forgery over the phone. And this is another artifact in the case. So this is a picture of a screen capture of a chat that it also found like during the analysis, we usually also run text recognition, right, to identify any text artifacts if they are available in the case, and they are stored as images, which happens a lot. And here we can see a screenshot of a conversation where someone is asking to make a fake ID. So this is what I liked a lot about its results. Like it could identify this text in the picture and could understand the forgery. Like though the word forgery was never wasn't mentioned explicitly anywhere. Like it was the first message was in Italian, and actually it does speak a few foreign languages. It does understand them. So, and you can also write to it in a foreign language, but it still replies in English, but it's something to improve later. Um, yeah. So
Yeah.
this is it. Uh, BelkaGPT, how to. Do you have any questions about it? Brett,
Yep.
can you hear me? Ah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, Actually, that's what I want is asking the tool, asking AI to find
Hmm.
that. That's all I want is be able to ask AI that. I wanted to be expanded eventually to the whole storage drive, but for messages, when you have 50,000 messages, I think it's very nice to be able to ask contextual
Yeah,
questions.
exactly. And I do have this funny meme about BelkaGPT. Can you see it, right?
Yeah, that's
So it's like this is the reason. So there are a few reasons actually why it is a bit better. Um, just a second, everyone, people raising their hands. I'm sorry, I can't let you into the meeting right now, but you can use the Q&A section or write in the chat whatever you want to ask and to add. Please feel free to do that. Sorry.
it's yeah.
um, yeah. So, like the first thing, yes, like you mentioned before, keyword searches, they look for specific terms, and even with such functionalities as keyword lists that can include thousands of words related to a topic, you can do a lot, but still, if things can be expressed in like synonyms or some metaphors, even metaphors, uh, large language models can understand them. It's not um, a default functionality. Like some of them may be better, some of them may be worse. I've also experimented with our a tool by writing something like, when did this person made his way to this place? And it understood that, it interpreted my question quite well. And one more thing is that when typing, people mistype a lot. And if there are typos in the words, that keyword search can easily miss them, though. Probably some keyword lists are smart enough uh, to include all those types of typos that can be done to, you know, alarm words.
Yeah, even in like a electronic discovery cases, the attorneys are arguing over which keywords, and sometimes you end up with a list of 500 keywords because trying to capture every type of word that refers to whatever they're looking for. So this would make it much easier to have all words related to, forgery or whatever the case
Yeah.
is about. It's easier than having arguing over 500 different words, which gives you 5 million hits. I think it's easier with the future of being able to ask AI everything related to this word or this concept. It will save a lot of arguing between opposing counsels on what to search for when they can agree upon at least the content of it.
Yeah, and like the cool thing I like about it also is that it kind of explains its conclusion that it made when answering to a question. Like, I don't know, here is like, are any suspicious topic discussed in chats? So you asked before, like, are there traces of illegal activity or topics or evidence of that? And it first replies, and then it explains why why it made this conclusion, like the reasoning behind this conclusion. So I think we have a question. Maybe, yeah, someone asked it. Oh, we have a lot of. So, Brad, do you prefer to answer the questions in the end, or do you
Okay.
want to look through them? Okay, yeah.
I
Sorry,
can't. I can't.
you can.
I can't see them. So
Oh. Okay.
yeah.
So I okay. We'll just go to them in the end. I will
Okay.
just read them out loud. Okay. So, but here is what we've skipped when discussing the LLMs, and I think that these things are worth mentioning from the point of view of implementing AI in digital forensics, right? So, like providing real-time data, real-time information. So it's probably not very important, because usually we want to understand what is within our case, right? Then handling structured data, which is, I think I saw a question about it, like, can an LLM parse raw data? The answer is no for now, no. But like Brett mentioned it before, it will be the future, probably, hopefully, for many. So then understanding ambiguity and nuance, though they can understand metaphors and synonyms when someone discusses some topics in a very, very, uh, metaphoric way, they can be not always very well understood. One more thing is randomness, and this is something that is built into the model that generates text. So you probably noticed that if you ask ChatGPT one question twice, is the reply always the same?
No, it did. And I asked why. I asked AI why it does that, and it just says,
Mm-hmm.
random answer too. Really, things change, information changes, and I think if you have a memory, for the memory, it changes the answer when you ask it again.
Yeah.
Sometimes not. It just kind of randomness and random.
Yeah, with those online and powerful language models like ChatGPT, uh, they have a context window that is limited to a number of not symbols but tokens. Tokens are roughly words, like a number of words that it can handle. And the more you talk to it, the more at some point it starts forgetting the context, like the original one. But the randomness is another thing, actually, and it is like an inherent, like randomness is what is in its code, because I've listened to some podcasts on it, and they mentioned that um, randomness helps generate better replies. So if the code that defines how reply, like not the code but the process that defines how the reply is generated, is very rigid, and if they make it generate the same reply, it just at some point stops working. So there are ways to limit this randomness, but in general they are just required for the models to work well.
Yeah, there's the negative part of I see with like forensics. Forensics, if you have 5 keywords that you're searching for, you'll get the whatever results are. And if you use another tool, you use the same 5 keywords, you should get
Hmm.
the same results. With AI, it can be different, because if your question had one word, like you said, more or less than somebody else asking, you might get a little bit different answer with AI, because it's looking at it differently. It's not like as rigid, because it's thinking contextually. So you could get different answers. So for repeatability, it might be, I could see a little bit difference in how somebody is working with it and asking certain questions. Somebody else ask slightly different questions, they might get different responses.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the last point here that is the most dangerous for digital forensics is the hallucinations, like that came from the world of people, of humans, to the world
Yeah.
of artificial intelligence. So what do you think of them?
Well, there's that the litigation case in, I think it was New York last year, where
Hmm.
the attorneys asked for case citations and AI gave them some fake citations, and they got sanctioned by the court. And I believe in that case, I have to remember that case. That case or one other case, the court actually said AI is okay to use as long as it's verifiable, and you corroborate it. So I haven't read a case where it says court says no, you can't use AI. It's just that you have to verify what you're doing or what you find with AI. So there's a bunch of other hallucinations. I think City of New York, again, I guess, had an AI problem where businesses could ask it questions. And if you're a restaurant, I think somebody asked, can I still sell cheese that rats were eating on? And AI said yes. And another one, I think a medical AI, I think a hospital, somebody bought some AI and was asking medical advice on cancer, and it was giving the opposite instructions that could actually harm somebody. So it's the same in court or a hospital. Whatever the answer you get, you have to corroborate and make sure, is this answer correct? So, and like I said, I haven't seen a court. I've seen one court say yes, you can use AI as long as you use it appropriately, but I don't think there's an issue other than someone will use it wrong, like those lawyers did, and hopefully they'll stay independent of everybody else.
Yeah, I think I know that the case you are talking about, that litigation case where a lawyer, he needed some precedents to support the case, the defense, and he was looking for them, yes, in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was very, very kind. It couldn't say, I don't know such
Yeah,
things, such cases. So here is here are a few, so please use them
yeah,
whenever you want. And after all, when someone started checking them, they turned out completely made up.
yeah. And that's the other thing
So
with AI. You can ask AI a question, and you can have a conversation with AI, and you can change their AI's answer. If you say, well, I think this way, and you give it some more information, and AI will change its answer. So if you're having a conversation, AI will gradually shift or completely change. Oh, sorry, I was wrong. Now this is my answer. And we have to think humans are the same way. You think you're right, you give an answer, but you're wrong. Or maybe you're wrong. Who knows? AI is the same way. So everything that I see, it has to be corroborated. I can't imagine asking the AI anything that I can't corroborate and to rely on it. It's just too scary to, just like the hospital giving the wrong advice on how to care for somebody for cancer or some other things. If you rely on it without actually checking, you're going to be doomed in court. You're going to be doomed in your case, and be in a wrong path for just investigating.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And like in digital forensics, if you use a large language model to look for evidence, you should also have a straightforward way to validate your reply so that you could document it, like data that you discover during your investigations, and then you document it to present in court, like explaining where it's coming from, why it is there. Could it be tampered with during the seizure and analysis and things like that?
Yeah, the worst answers are because the search tool told me, or because the software told me, or AI told me. Therefore, that's the evidence. It's the same. Nothing changes. It's here's the artifacts. AI found it, but I corroborated and verified it. Or here's what the keyword search found. Here's why I believe it's evidence. Uh, Anyone who just says write a report and tell me why this is evidence is not going to be able to explain that to anybody other than just reading the report. You have to have that firsthand knowledge of, yeah, AI pointed me in the direction, and I went and I verified it. I looked at it myself and corroborated it. Otherwise, it's going to be a misuse of AI, and you're not going to look good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and one more concern about AI adoption that we have to discuss is that most artificial intelligence tools, they need powerful machines and specially equipped with graphic processing units, and otherwise they can only be run in the cloud, and which is just a no-go for most digital forensics labs that are involved in criminal investigations.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that day that the
When cloud
technology.
is allowed.
Well, when we can bring that to our desktop and use it. But like I said, the processing power needed for AI is quite more than what we're, I guess, capable of for now. So uploading anything to the cloud where it's publicly in the hands of somebody else is a big no-no for practically any case. And even then, it's just such a sanitized general information that I would ever do that for real. Here's generally a case. What do you think? That's as far as I would go for now, because uploading, images that are, you shouldn't be uploading, or personal information and active investigations, I wouldn't touch that with the cloud. With Belkasoft, I mean, with the local AI, that's fine for for the chats and texts and things. But other than that, I can't wait until somebody figures out a way to get us there faster.
Yeah, like what you mentioned, the ability to just analyze the whole disk, right, and to make conclusions based on it, answer all questions based just on this disk. This is something that requires a lot of computing power. And yeah, like BelkaGPT, like you mentioned, yes, it's an offline language model, and it's not as powerful as ChatGPT or other online ones. And it's designed to solve the problem of looking for specific topics, specific activities within the case to help or to assist the digital forensics examiner. And yeah, it was optimized to perform okay, even on CPUs, even the GPU is not
Mhm.
required. Though with GPU, the processing, so when it after the tool processes data, it BelkaGPT processes what the tool parsed, and this process of BelkaGPT processing can take longer on um, less high-end GPUs, like but afterwards it still works. You can uh, put it on processing during the night, and in the morning you can talk to it. Well, I think we've covered a lot. One more topic I wanted to discuss is the future of AI, and I think we have already touched upon it a bit. But what can we dream of more?
Well, I think for now, being able to ask questions, even though it's local and not on the raw data, is a time saver. So just being able to save a couple hours on a case is great. But the future, like I said, I'm waiting for where we can point it at a disk or storage device and ask it questions. And I think one day, the sooner the better. It just makes, and I'm not saying that in a way to be. Well, I say I'm saying that in a way to be lazy, because this manual parsing and manual processing and manually setting up everything and manually doing that, it takes a lot of time. But if AI can do that stuff, and then we can actually go deeper as a human to look at it. It's just like when we're using command line tools, a lot of
Mhm.
time to parse a lot of raw data and then try to put it together, and then finally analyze it and look at it. That's a lot of wasted time. And I may look back at those cases and they weren't that well done. I mean, we barely pulled out. I mean, we weren't doing memory, and I mean, registry we really didn't
Uh,
do anything at the time. So we did a pretty poor job compared to today. So now we're moving past that, and we're doing a lot of processing with the tools, indexing and parsing and that sort of thing automatically. But if we have AI do that part, then we can actually go a step beyond and really dive into the data and really dive into the case, and have AI do that labor part. Because all we're doing is labor, pushing buttons and moving things around. That's just manual labor. It's easy to teach, it's easy to learn, easy to do. It's just the thinking part of, okay, I need to get the data, now I need to look at it and think about it. So if AI can get us to that point, then we can really look at a case. We can really look at the data, really get inferences and predict behavior, by getting rid of that labor part.
Yeah, and this will require the implementation of multimodal AI. Like now we are dealing with just a large language model, but like in this slide, you can see how well actually ChatGPT could describe the picture that I gave it. And can you imagine not only categorizing the pictures, but providing a meticulous description of what's in them, and then looking for specific topics, not only in text, but also in the picture contents, right? But this thing with parsing raw data, I think it's probably doable, but someone needs to train it to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the hardest part, because training seems to be the most uh, expensive and difficult part in creating a large language model and any other AI tools.
yeah.
Thank you, Brad. That was very insightful conversation. So how about looking into the questions? So I think you can see them
I can,
too.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No, now I
you
see
found
them.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's in the activities. And there is this question. So the first one is, can AI parse raw data? Okay, so I think we've covered that one pretty
yeah.
well already. So how often is BelkaGPT updated with new training data, and what is that training data come from? So that's a very good question. Um, Actually, BelkaGPT kind of trains on the data you provide to it. So all this happens offline, your data doesn't go anywhere. And then it uses this data to reply to the questions. So hopefully I, and what we do from our part is that we look for ways to make those replies more precise, more focused on the topics, and more well-reasoned. So I want to a question that Brett can answer. Then we will look at BelkaGPT
Oh,
questions
oh,
as well.
there's one. Do you think AI would dumb down analysis? I don't think so. I think AI is going to do the labor part. That I think we do all the labor by
Mhm.
the software tool. We need to look for pictures or emails, whatever, and we do all those things. I think I consider that just labor, easy, hard stuff for tools to do, but easy for the user to do. But I don't think AI is going to make us dumber. I think it's going to allow us to really look at a case and letting AI configure the way we want it. We tell AI we want to look for this kind of thing in this kind of case and have AI parse it and show us, and then we look at it. So I think it should make us better investigators by just presenting the information better.
Yeah, and this is, I think, where your implementation of AI is very smart. Like when you ask to look at it from different angles and generate more ideas. Like everyone can have a blog, like what else I can do, but AI can help break through. And I think you do a great job with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay, so 2 questions answered.
And as far as who's accountable for the errors, that's the user. Um, User's always accountable for. I've actually asked AI if there's a car crash driven by a AI car, who's responsible, and AI told me it's the programmer. And
Oh.
and I went, well, I think for forensics, it doesn't work that way. I don't think we're going to be able to blame the programmer for a mistake that we make in a case. I think it's always going to be whoever's signing their name. I swear that this report is true. Their affidavit, that's the person who's taking responsibility and accountability, regardless of what tool that they used.
Yeah. So, um, anything BelkaGPT included in the trial? I I need to check back on that. The last time I checked, it was not. But if you need to try it and want to play around with it, we can work something out for sure. So, what new features we can expect from BelkaGPT in the near future? So, like I said before, we will make it more precise and more focused on the field of digital forensics. What kind of graphic processing unit do I need to run an offline LLM? Um, I cannot say for any LLM. For BelkaGPT, like the first machine where we started implementing and testing this feature, it had an NVIDIA, a GeForce GPU with I think 8 GB of VRAM, and it was quite fast. But now that we have a much more powerful 24 GB GPU, it works much faster, which is quite expected. So the next question is, I'm humbled finally meeting Brett. Brett, kudos to Brett. And I'm really happy that you were able to join us for this meeting because you have
Me
a
too.
lot of experience. So, and I've been in forensics since 2004 too. Oh yeah, the dumb down question. Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
answered it. So what about keeping these searches private? And I think we covered that too. What about CSAM searches if they are not private? Yeah, so like anything relating to Using online AI tools for processing real data is just the gray
Yeah.
gray area, and I think nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to send this information over the network, or
Yeah. Don't do it.
and yeah, and
Yeah.
to have it stay on someone's server. So, an interesting discussion. And two, can I ask, to what extent can the results hold up in a courtroom? Who is accountable for any errors? Yeah, that one you've answered too.
Yeah.
So nice to meet you. Exciting webinar. Thanks for joining. What kind of data sets are used to train these models? How do you ensure that they are representative of real-world forensic scenarios, and how adaptable are they models when encountering new types of digital evidence? So this is quite a complex question, and I may say that BelkaGPT is based on a pre-trained model that understands and reproduces human language. But to answer your questions, it uses case data. So like we know that the large language models can be interacted with prompts, and the predefined prompt for BelkaGPT is to answer your question based on case data and explain it. As for how adaptable they are, I can't say anything now, unfortunately, but I may say that we are working on making it better. So, Brett, I think the lesson is definitely for you. I believe
Yeah.
the legal will ask you.
I, I think, people who've been testifying before, there's some questions of, well, why did you do this? Or why did you think that? Or why did you follow that process? And I think we have to document AI. It's just like using a search term, and you do a search list and you have it in the log. You search for these terms and you show this, I searched these terms. Same thing with AI. I think if you don't say, well, I asked AI a question, it gave me some clues, and then I followed those clues. So I think that's legitimate.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I asked it to help me generate some new ideas and
Yep.
find some information that was the easiest way to do. And if you have, like, if you can validate its reply, like in BelkaGPT, like in those tools like Perplexity AI, now, which not only answers your question, but also provides the links to the websites and to the articles that it used when generating the reply. So I think you are totally safe here. So it will be just your normal case documentation process.
Yep, I believe so.
So I think we've answered all answers. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining. And especially the biggest thanks go to Brett for sharing
thank you for having
his
me.
invaluable experience and his insights into this complicated but still very sought after technology.